Guys, it's been a while since I last posted. Sorry about that. I just really haven't had many ideas for videos, I'm gonna be honest, because I have my own plans that I hope to get to, and if those plans come into fruition, then I'll certainly talk about them more in future videos. But today, I'm just gonna talk about, like, what I want to happen for the movies here, or the ending for the FNAF 3 movie that's coming out, which, hey, that's pretty exciting. We're getting a whole trilogy of movies. I'm going to be going a little off script today, so sorry if I stutter a lot, but I just feel like it'll feel more, I don't know, feel more honest or something. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but either way, Scott or any other writers for FNAF 3, I hope you take some notes because I feel like this could get us one of the best endings we could get for this trilogy of Five Nights at Freddy's movies. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy. After, the entire events of the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 movie, where Mike and Abby are trying to defeat Springtrap and defeat Charlotte so Henry can reunite with her or whatever, and Michael Afton too. I'm just gonna say this right here. I feel like Michael Afton's whole uh, I need to continue my father's legacy would work better if he just had more screen time, which I think is honestly the biggest flaw of FNAF 2, because there's like three times the amount of like characters and locations, settings and such, and they still had the like same amount of runtime. So obviously characters like the Wizards, Michael, the OGs from the first movie, honestly the only like new characters were introduced that really felt fleshed out enough was probably Henry, honestly, which is kind of ironic since he had the least screen time, but I don't know. I feel like I hope I'll at least forgive Charlotte for being a little less fleshed out, because I'm sure the third movie is going to be about like redeeming her and whatnot. But if they wanted the twist for Michael Afton near the end of the movie to work better, then he needed more screen time. I understand why he didn't get much screen time, but still, maybe the like 90-minute movie mark for FNAF 2 wasn't great. But either way, enough rambling about Michael, okay. After, whatever events in the third movie, Michael, or Mike Schmidt, Abby, Vanessa, and if Michael gets redeemed, he could be there too, go into the burnt remains of Fazbear's Frights, maybe to like look for William and whatnot, because who knows, maybe if they do expand from the trilogy, we can get some twist of seeing Springtrap. Or I mean, I kind of hope they don't expand from the trilogy, but I don't make the decisions here. I'm just a person who's watching these movies. What was I saying? Alright, they look for Springtrap to, see if he's still alive in the rubble or whatever of Fazbear's Frights. But when they look for Springtrap, William, they don't find him. And if you want to save that for a potential fourth movie or fifth movie or whatever, then that's certainly a possibility. But what I think is more important is that what they do find, they find the missing children, the five kids from the first movie, and Charlotte, all sitting around a like party table or whatever, celebrating something. And for the first time in who knows how long in these movies, we finally get to see these children smile. They're happy, and they invite our gang, Mike, Abby, Vanessa, and maybe even Michael if he's there, or hell, maybe even Henry. And they party with them. They have fun with them. maybe Mike and Vanessa are a little hesitant at first because reasonably so, let's be honest with ourselves, but either way. But they'd eventually relent and party with the kids and whatnot. Eventually, Charlotte comes out with a birthday cake or something, and they set it down on the table. As each slice is being handed to each of the people, each character, and such, the children will start to thank Mike and Abby and Vanessa, because of them, their souls will finally be set free. I mean, maybe FNAF 2 was the children being set free, but I don't know, something tells me that the missing children from the first movie will come back one final time in this movie. Well, I guess technically two times, since I'm explaining the end for them, but either way. And, they'll all be laughing, partying with each other, having cake, having a good time. And once they're all done, right before all of our main characters, Mike, Abby, Vanessa, I don't know why I need to keep specifying it, but either way, I'm sure you get the point. Before they get up to leave, but before they leave, each of the kids tell them thank you as they slowly start to fade away. The last ones being the golden Freddy blonde boy, whatever his name is. Maybe it's Cassidy, who knows, and Charlotte. The golden Freddy kid, the blonde boy, whatever you call him, he obviously thanks them as well because our character set their souls free and such. And maybe the golden Freddy kid could explain how we couldn't have done this without you, and maybe you could go through like a little monologue or something saying that if it weren't for Mike and Abby and I guess Vanessa, even though Vanessa through the first movie at least was kind of helping William, but either way, at least for Mike and Abby, Mike Schmidt, I mean, he tells them that if it weren't for them, then they wouldn't have their happiest day. Whoa, the happiest day, that's the thing from the video games. After a few more thank yous or whatever, the golden Freddy kid finally fades away himself. Sorry about that, guys. Dogs started barking. But anyways, as I was saying, Charlotte is the last one to fade away, and she, of course, thanks Mike and Abby for their help, but she also goes to Vanessa and apologizes for all the pain that Vanessa caused, seeing as the events of FNAF 2 and how they played out. If you know, you know. And if Henry is there, then Charlotte will give one final hug to Henry before she slowly fades away. As we're shown, as our main characters, start to walk away from the rubble that remained of Fazbear's Frights. And behind all of this, in the distance or whatever, background music, we can hear a little song that most of you may know or recognize as Bonnie's Lullaby. If I can figure out how to play it, then I'll play it here. But if I can't, then look it up. It's very sad, And I think this would be a good way to end the Five Nights at Freddy's movies, because we get a satisfying conclusion to the missing spirits, and there's still room for more sequels, I suppose, but as much as I would love to see like the nightmares or the Funtime animatronics on the big screen, I do kind of hope that they end it for the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 movie, because as we've been shown, every time that the series expands, like a spin-off, further than what was intended, like the Fazbear Frights books, then it kind of starts to go downhill. So if Scott does other screenplays, like movies or TV shows for the Five Nights at Freddy's brand, I kind of hope they just make it its own separate universe. I mean, if Scott puts enough care into like a Five Nights at Freddy's 4 or Sister Location or maybe even Pizzeria Simulator movie, then I think we could get it in the same universe. But I feel like if Scott doesn't know what to do to expand from the trilogy of movies, then he should not expand from that trilogy, you know? Because, like I said, the Fazbear Frights books, for example, the first, like, 4 books were pretty good, or at least they were okay, you know? It was nice content to have, but then we got stories like in Bunny Call, there's the story, In the Flesh, where Matt Pat gets impregnated by Springtrap, you know? Or in, I think it was the Puppet Carver, number 9, with, the Fazgoo and stuff. Yeah, so if they expand from the initial trilogy we have, then Scott has to actually know what to do to expand. And I have another video in mind about going into what a Sister Location movie could look like, or at least the first, like, 15 minutes or so. But since I don't plan to make a FNAF 4 movie video, I'd probably just say for a FNAF 4 movie, the only way you can really do this, in my opinion, is kind of do a retread of the Twisted ones, where the Nightmare animatronics are like the Twisted animatronics, and they use the sound illusion discs and whatnot. But besides that, I don't really think a FNAF 4 movie, in the context of how Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is in the games, I don't know if a Five Nights at Freddy's 4 movie could work. Because the Nightmare animatronics are just illusions, you know? While I don't believe in the spirit gas or whatever that theory was about or not spirit gas, but like the hallucinogenic gas in Ditophobia or something. I think it was that story. Either way. But I feel like the sound illusion disc may not be entirely popular, but I feel like it's the only way to make the Nightmare animatronics an actual threat in this movie. Because, again, they're hallucinations and whatnot, so either way. Not like a one-to-one retread or anything. Maybe it's just like Mike or Vanessa now live in the FNAF 4 looking house or whatever, and one of them starts to have like nightmares, and we see that these nightmares aren't actually dreams and whatnot, because Mike is like checking up on Vanessa or whatever. I don't really know what they could do for a FNAF 4 movie, but either way, I feel like the best they can really do is a retread of the Twisted ones. Maybe William sends out the Twisted animatronics who disguise, there we go, as the Nightmare animatronics or whatever, to capture Vanessa in a similar way as he did in, again, the Twisted Ones novel, where he sends them to capture Charlotte in that book. Either way, that's probably all I have to say about a Five Nights at Freddy's 4 movie. And before I go, I just want to say, Skeet Ulrich, Matthew Lillard, if you're watching this, y'all have done perfectly at capturing Henry and William, like, perfectly. Like, this may be a hot take, I don't know, but I honestly kind of like Henry and William more in the movies than I do than the games, because I don't know, I feel like they just feel more fleshed out, because no offense to Scott, but Henry in Pizzeria Simulator was kind of more of a plot device than an actual character, because the only thing we really see of Henry is those tapes and that speech at the end of the game, which, don't get me wrong, that speech goes hard. It's like, honestly, still probably like the best moment in all of Five Nights at Freddy's, but I feel like we could have gotten a little more of Henry in the games before killing him off. And that's kind of something I hope they do for a future Steel Wool game, is if they go back in time again, I hope we can have Henry as a major focus, because we already know William, like, front, back, and center. But Henry, we don't really get to know him. But either way, I loved these movies, I love the games, and I can't wait to see what's next for the Five Nights at Freddy's cinematic universe. Until next time, keep squidding along. No, that doesn't work. Well, anyways, see ya.